Hello, everyone. This is your host, Zaid Maher from the Arab Cultural Center of St. Louis, welcoming you to the last Wednesday lecture, which is one of the Wednesday lectures on the Wednesday lecture series that we have been having in the month of April to celebrate the Arab American Heritage Month here in the state of Missouri in the United States of America. In these lectures, these meetings, we bring some of the brilliant scholars, academics, and researchers who have written and published and taught on topics ranging from astronomy to science to social work. And we ask them to share their insights with us in their field, in their expertise. Our guest today is Mr. Mustafa Rifat, and he is a PhD candidate in social work at Washington University in St. Louis. He's a researcher whose work focuses on refugees with disabilities in the United States, exploring barriers to employment, healthcare, education, and housing. He uses community-based participatory research and draws on critical disability theory to center the voices of the refugees. Mr. Rifat has published in journals such as The Lancet and contributed to policy work with organizations such as Switchboard. As a former refugee from Iraq and a person with a disability, Mr. Rifat's work is both academic and personal. He has committed to advancing inclusive policies that recognize disability rights as human rights and that aim to bridge research, advocacy, and practice to drive systemic change. Today, he is sharing with us his insight on artificial intelligence between opportunities and challenges. And AI has been indeed the discussion topic of many people in academia and outside academia for at least 2 to 3 years now. Welcome, Mr. Rifat, to our series, and we are happy to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. And happy Arab Heritage Month.
Let us begin by listening to you and learning from you about AI itself, the nature of artificial intelligence. How do you define it? You know, as someone majoring in social work with your expertise, how do you define AI? Can you tell us something about that? Would you say it's a phenomenon that is probably a passing circumstance, or would you say it's a reality, a fact on the ground? What can you tell us about that?
Yes, absolutely. So, from my experience briefly reading and using AI this past 2 years, so AI is started as a theory, and I think it dates back to 1950s. So the idea of using machines to mimic human abilities, human intelligence, and to perform the task of like learning, reasoning, and problem solving, things like that. Um, and well, I can definitely tell you it's not a phenomena. It is definitely a reality that really integrated into almost every aspect of our lives, um, especially with the recent breakthrough with ChatGPT, Gemini, and other chatbots. The one with recent one from China, DeepSeek. They all really put things in new perspective for us. But we are in early stage of using um, um, AI, so there is a lot of opportunities and there's a lot of challenges with it.
Hmm. You mentioned ChatGPT and other platforms, um, and it is your opinion that AI is not a phenomenon, but it's a reality, and we have to deal with it. I'm wondering, how do several different industries, businesses, how do they deal with AI as given its challenges and opportunities? What industries, what aspects of modern day life is AI being used in, and how effective are these uses?
Yes, so specifically in healthcare, like for example, in social work, um, recently we started integrating AIs that take notes. For example, when you are doing a therapy, um, you usually in the past before AI, we used to take notes while during the therapy, and then after the session ends, we used to spend about 15 minutes, 20 minutes to write a note. But with the AI revolution, we started integrating new technologies that take notes for us while we are doing these therapies. So by the end of the session, you have, clean notes that has been taken for you. You just need to review it and submit it. So it really enhanced efficiency. It helps us to save time. And the recent one, actually, I was visiting my doctor and I noticed when I asked him a couple of questions, he stared and he typed it into his computer instead of responding to me directly. And I asked him, like, are you using AI? And he's like,
Mm.
yes, I'm using AI. So obviously this was an approved AI by Washington University Hospital that specifically designed to look for literature in medicine, and it gives you like a summary of the question that you ask. So it
So,
definitely like helped us to in terms of like efficiency, time saving, and it's a so the way it does is you have these billions of data information out in the internet, and instead of you going one by one trying to search, AI, what it does, it just massively searches these billions of data points and brings and puts it for you in a more humane way. So in the past with Google, we used to ask a question, it directs us to these sites. But with AI, what it's doing is like summarizing things and putting things for us in a more concise way.
well, listening to you, I'm thinking maybe AI then is a blessing. Maybe AI is a door opener maybe we should embrace the opportunities in fields such as healthcare that you have just mentioned. So, do you not worry that the challenges and might outweigh the opportunities? Let me begin before that by asking you, what types of challenges, cultural, social, do you see, um, or do you believe we will have to deal with as a society, as a humanity, in general, and also what types of challenges that specific minorities, specific cultural and social contexts, if you will, may have to deal with, and then tell us what you think. The question: would the opportunities outweigh the challenges?
Yeah, I think like we really need to like pay close attention to the challenges with AI, especially as we are first really new to AI. That means we don't know how to write prompt. So
Mm,
most of the time, people, at least from what I have seen, is that they they don't know how to write prompt for AI. And if you don't know how to write prompt, it is just going to inject a lot of biases and oftentimes what's called like hallucination. It starts making up things for you. And it literally like makes up even citations for you, making the information as legitimate for you, where in reality, that is just like hallucination. Or the most dangerous thing is the bias, because one of my professor who specializes in AI always says garbage in, garbage out. So what
mm,
that means that we have a lot of like bad information, or we have a lot of biases, especially against minority groups, like, when we talk about Muslims, when we talk about Arabs, or when we talk about Middle East, we have a lot of biases from the media, from like post September 11. So what AI does is it just goes to the internet, collects these bad informations, mixes it, and brings it to us. So it's like literally garbage in, garbage out. That's why like you have to um, be extremely difficult, extremely careful with the information that's given you. So just because it puts it in a nice design, in a fast way, doesn't mean it's accurate. So in my work, I my rule of thumb always with, like, for example, if I use ChatGPT, is that I never copy and paste any information from ChatGPT to my work. The second thing, I always go and check what resources that information came from. I don't just look at, okay, it found it from X, Y, and Z website. No, I myself go to check these websites. Are these websites legitimate? Is the information accurate? And then I use citations to refer to these informations. Um, that is one thing. Another thing is privacy,
mhm,
because you should never use your private information with AI. Yes, if you check the internet, it might tell you, well, it's secure, blah blah blah, but there is that risk of um, hacking, there is the risk of leaking information. Like if you put your private informations while this machine is training itself, it can leak your information to the world. So you should always be careful with these points.
It's interesting. You have just said the machine is training itself. I like the phrase. Um, what does it mean? What does it mean to say the machine is training itself? I mean, isn't it a system of algorithms that has already been put in place by experts, mathematicians, etc.? Um, can you just explain what you mean by the machine training itself?
In many ways, for example, the first thing is um, like your account, for example, with ChatGPT, that account is trying to understand who you are. So it's always like saving that information. So for example, Mustafa is a social work PhD candidate. He does this, he does that, and he's learning my how I am thinking, what I am looking forward for. Um, so you have that local like training that is doing, and then you have that the source, so that the AI is consistently taking these informations, trying to see how people are using, and then learning from it, and then sending it back to the public. So one example is like if you open TikTok, for example, that uses AI algorithm, and you like tell it that you like cats, you like, for example, black cats, and if you search it a couple times, it starts like sending you all sorts of different things about, black cats. And so it's trying to learn like what people want. And that's, in some way good, but in a lot of way it's bad. Because like if we talk about like misinformation, then you're entering this rabbit hole with misinformations that it's really difficult sometimes to come out of it.
Wow, wow, that is thought provoking and challenging. Now, you just said something that makes me want to ask about what is at the core of the creation of artificial intelligence, AI, AI policy, AI design, uh, and you're a social worker, and who works with AI probably on a daily basis. Role should social workers, what role should human rights advocates play in influencing AI policy, in influencing AI design? Because it seems to me that it's a problem with roots that can go back to to the very idea of AI creation.
Yes, I think like from our end as a, like social worker, especially as I focus on refugees, one of the most marginalized people, we
Yes.
are always um and also like disability. Like for example, if you look like the history of disabilities is filled with, bias, prejudice, discrimination,
Yes.
ableism, the negative attitude, both like in TV, in media, and everything is against people with disabilities. So we know all these informations are out in the internet. And we become very worried that now people using this in artificial intelligence to really reach these bad informations and use it. So there has been a lot of talk about ethic. There has been a lot of talk in how we can, how there is a need for policies to control the bad side of, using AI, so that we are not repeating the history, especially for, minoritized and marginalized communities. So the ethical part has been really the big concern, how we can use this tool as ethically.
Now that you have mentioned ethics, which is certainly at the heart of the discussions of artificial intelligence that people have been having in academia and outside academia, I'm wondering how, as an Arab American scholar and an Arab American professional, I'm wondering how you think or believe that Arab American professionals, Arab American academics, since Arab Americans are a minority in this country, and certainly they have been impacted, as you said, by this machine, by this engine. How can they contribute to making AI development ethical? How can they make a contribution to public discourse as a community of immigrants, as a minority, but also as professionals and scholars who deal with AI because it's part of their part of their work, part of their profession, such as your profession?
That's a really good question. I think the first thing is like we need evidence, we need data. So like our colleagues who are like in their profession, for example, if we have like lawyers who are focusing on the issue of, for example, discrimination, it it really like we need to take that responsibility, and we need to you know do our part to bring um like to bring light on the need for more responsibility. And that can literally happen in two ways. One is like what we are doing right now is to increase awareness among our communities in how to use AI. And the second thing is to contribute intellectually to this revolution, because it's really a new revolution that is not going to go anywhere. So, for example, in my field, I am currently, brainstorming how we need to think about um, how AI could be abused, for example, by authorities, like using it as surveillance to target minority groups, and how we need to like make sure like these things are being done ethically. So I mean, I'm really calling every professionals in our community to be aware of this and not shy away from talking about it, and see if there is opportunities that they can be the first one who are bringing and talking about AI, because if we leave this topic for others who are not familiar with our culture, who are not familiar with us to talk about us, then we are like leaving a gap for literally like for the AI to misunderstand what we stand for.
This is then a call for fellow Arab Americans to to get involved in this revolutionary invention, and get involved not just as users or practitioners, but as people who research into it, deal with its intricacies, understand how it does what it does. Based on your observations of the Arab American communities in the United States, but particularly in St. Louis, where you live, would you say that AI is an attractive invention to them, uh, or is something that puts them off, that makes them worry? Uh, why? I mean, if the answer is yes, why? If the answer is no, why not? In other words, how do Arab Americans respond to the country's growing reliance on AI, given the impact of AI, the one that you have described, on them as a minority, and given the misinformation that has been in public and has clearly not disappeared since the tragic events of 9/11 in 2001, regarding Arabs and Muslims, and their shaping the public perception of them.
Yes, I think it's mixed method. It's mixed reaction here, because what I have seen, like here in St. Louis, especially as I do a community-based work with our community, is that, oftentimes our elders kind of like backed away from using AI. Like they have just their guards. They are like, I don't want to mess with it. I don't understand it, and I don't trust it. On the other hand, seeing our youth really embracing it, but then I also like see a lot of misuse. Again, like not knowing how to use it, or using it excessively, where because there's also that fear that if you too much reliance on AI can take away our ability to think critically. So again, like I feel like there's a big need, big gap in educating our communities in how to best use AI, how to check the information, like again, like this perception that when you write something, for example, in Chat GPT, it puts it concisely for you. And I am also like a victim of that. Like I can give you an example from my life. When I first started using AI, it just felt fascinating to, in a matter of seconds, I can get this, like nice written professionally, when I ask it about a topic. But as I tried to be more critical, especially asking it questions in my area that I am expert in, I was like, oh my God, no, 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 no. Like, these are all wrong information. You just put it together nicely for me, and you are trying to sell it to me. So, again, like our community, especially in and our youth, I noticed that they just buy that niceness, that fashion look of like, for example, ChatGPT's output. And I always remind them that no, you have to be very cautious. You have to always check the source. You have to check the writing, because as you are becoming more specialized in certain area, you start seeing the mistakes within, for example, AI outputs.
You seem to be worried, especially about youth who tend to use artificial intelligence indiscriminately or without discretion, who, as you said, embrace AI, and with that, probably make themselves vulnerable to it. AI is not neutral, isn't it? Or it is would you say AI is a neutral force that can be used in an unneutral way, or is AI not neutral by default? But there is no way AI can be neutral.
Yeah, I think like I mean, from what I've seen, I don't think like AI will ever be neutral, because the information out on the internet are not neutral. It's always that you have the bias, you have, like misunderstanding, misconceptions about, certain groups. My professor who specializes, Professor Ann, who specializes in AI, he always recommend viewing AI as partner and not as a, you should never view it as your superior or as your boss who knows more and you know less. No, it's a partnership. You want that efficiency, you want that, um, again, like when we talk about that note taking, that's really nice, but you always need to check it. You should never fully trust it that it's going to do a work 100% for you. And I think the other thing is like people started realizing, like, for example, if you share something with me and that is you copied and pasted immediately from AI, I can immediately tell you that no, you did not write that piece personally. That is an output from AI. So I think like we are, especially in academia, as we are starting like seeing a lot of students use it. So that is like becoming like, you know, as we become like more familiar with it, so we are becoming more aware of it.
More aware of it. Yes. Uh, Clearly, AI is a shaping force, social, cultural, uh, political. Uh, Now, are there no examples of uses, AI uses, that have been successful in empowering, say, marginalized communities, um, in providing the underrepresented or misrepresented with a tool to make their voice heard, to draw attention to their problems. Uh, are you aware of such examples? Uh, do you do you have a do you have a recipe for a comeback discourse, or for a discourse that helps, the underrepresented, um, get what they deserve, of visibility, of equity. What can you tell us about that?
I mean, definitely. I think like AI enhances our lives in many ways. Like, for example, in disability, um, disability community significantly started benefiting from AI. Like when we talk about voice recognition, when we talk about screen reader, image description. I was like, I think it was last week I was watching this, and I think it was in the news that a new app AI that when you turn it on, you turn it to a picture, it describes the picture for you. So that is like going to benefit someone with vision impairment to really like see the world, but by simply just turning on their phone and turning it around. I mean, so many examples that similar like this that is really helping minority groups. But again, always we need it to be ethical. We need it to be like not abused, things like that. Again, going back to my example in healthcare, how it's, you know, helping us with healthcare as well.
Let us then wrap up with an insight you can share with us regarding ethics. I mean, because you seem to have um, highlighted the importance of bringing ethics, into the discussion of AI, and I definitely agree with you on that. I would like to know if, as a social work specialist, you have any ethical frameworks that you believe should guide the integration of AI in public services. Um, what should be done or can be done um, to guide the integration of AI to make it not an abusive uh, force, or at least make it difficult for some to use it in abusive ways, especially in public services and in your field, which is social work.
Yes, I think like we really like the beauty of AI, it like unlike what we used in the past, for example, Google, that it was just a search engine. But with AI, it really started integrating into human values and how like and really in a way that we never like imagined. And our fear is always that because we have that dark history with a lot of marginalized and communities, that the fear is always like we don't want to bring that past, to modernize it. And so for that is always, I think that that principle of non-discrimination should be the guide in AI. I think we should definitely, we need representation in AI. We should not let only few in the who are in the power seat that they decide on everything without like legitimate representation from all sorts of people who are using AI. We will never be able to like reach that ethical standard with AI. So um, yeah, I think these are the couple of things that came to my mind.
Thank you very, very much for this insightful um, discussion of AI, for this candid assessment of AI, its challenges and opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been my pleasure to host this discussion with Mr. Mustafa Rifat, who is, as I said at the start, a PhD candidate in social work at Washington University in St. Louis, whose research focuses on refugees with disabilities in the United States. Mr. Rifat, thank you for coming to this discussion, for being our guest, and we look forward to having you again in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for hosting me.